Hey everyone, Jake here for ExtremeTerrain, and in this video we're taking a look at the Barricade HD Overland Rack fitting 2007 and newer Tundras with the 5.5 and 6.5 foot bed. Whether you're heading to a remote campsite or to the job site, you can add some cool style and a lot of extra carrying capacity with this HD Overland bed rack from Barricade. This is a cool modular rack that offers a lot of flexibility for a great price. Whether you're looking for a platform for a tent, a rack for your ladders, or somewhere to mount recovery gear, the HD Overland Rack from Barricade has got what you're after. Now this is what we would call a modular rack, so you have the flexibility to mount pretty much anything you want to it, within reason, of course. You can mount jerry cans on the side for extra fuel, shovels, or other recovery gear. You can pop on some ladders to take them to your job site, or really whatever else you can think of. The possibilities are pretty endless here. And it retains full use of your bed space too, so while you're giving up some vertical height, you still get full access to the rest of your bed. Not only that, but it also looks pretty darn cool too. You get a very industrial type of aesthetic. I've got some of the pieces up here with me on the table so you can get an idea of what it looks like, and we'll show you some clips, of course, of what it looks like on the truck too. It's gonna help add some attitude to your bed space, all that to say. Now this is one of those rare times when form and function truly go hand in hand. But the thing I like most about this rack is that the flexibility really can't be overstated. You've got all these small cutouts here, so if you've got a small piece, you can use one of these to mount it up. If you've got something bigger, you can slide it around, you can adjust them. Really, again, the possibilities are kind of endless here, and it's limited only to what you can think of and how much stuff you can physically fit on it. Constructed from heavy-duty steel, this thing does live up to the HD name, and like their bumpers, Barricade also finishes that steel off with a two-stage coating. First, you get an epoxy pre-coating or e-coat that's to help remove impurities, and then that is topped off with a textured black powder coat finish, which is what you see on the table here. That coating is also UV resistant, so it's not gonna fade, and it's about a 0.5 millimeter thick than most other coatings on the market, so it's gonna stand up to the elements and provide you with some really good protection from bumps and bruises, both in daily life or out on the trail. Plus, that means that it's gonna match the finish of other Barricade accessories like their bumpers, so if you're shopping for those or you've already got one on your truck, you're gonna have a nice cohesive look. And it comes with a 3-year limited warranty against any manufacturing or material issues too, so you get some additional peace of mind. Pricing comes in at about $750, making it one of the most affordable bed racks on the market. So if you want that flexibility and solid construction, this is absolutely going to be your ticket, especially because it's not going to cost you a whole heck of a lot of money. Installation is going to get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now, as you can see, most of that difficulty and time is going to go towards assembling this thing. Like I said, this is only a sampling of the pieces. There's quite a few more. They're just not all going to fit on the table here with me. But once you've got everything unpacked, this is just going to bolt together, and it's going to bolt then right onto your truck. No modifications needed. So enough of me talking about it, let's head on out to the shop. We'll show you how to put this together and how to get it installed on your truck.
The tools you'll need for this project are a 3/8 drive power ratchet or a 3/8 drive regular ratchet, a 13 millimeter socket, a T40 Torx bit, a small pick or small flathead screwdriver, a 13 millimeter wrench, and or the supplied T40 Torx wrench. Hi everyone, today we're installing a bed rack on our Tundra, so let's get started. All right, as you can see, we've got our main components for our bed rack laid out on the floor here. That's just to make sure that we've got everything in place and we know what we're going to be doing. So the first thing we're going to be doing is installing these rubber pads on all of the corner braces and on the braces that go in the center that connect to the bed itself. So for the corner braces, like this one here, we've got 2 places that we need to apply these rubber isolators. Now, one of them doesn't have any punch outs at all. That's going to go on this top brace here. The other one actually has some punch outs in it. All you got to do is just press these out, and then you're going to have the openings where the bolts go through to attach to the truck. With that being said, all you have to do is line up the holes, make sure that they're in the right spot, remove the backing, and apply them to the brace. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove the backing material. Line up our holes. and then just press it into place. Now for this top piece here that doesn't have any holes in it, neither does our isolator. So we'll just go ahead, pull the backing off of that. Set it into place and just press it down. Now you can repeat this process for the other 3 corner supports. And we've got the same thing for our center support. We've got cutouts on the one isolator. Just remove those, line them up, remove the backing, and go ahead and apply it. And then we've got also another one that goes on the top here. And you can see that's got a little cutouts to it, and it's going to go right there. So just like the corner braces, remove the backing, line up your holes, and press it down. Now do the same thing for the top section. And now you can repeat that process for the other center brace. Now we're ready to start assembling our bed rack. To do that, we're going to be using these 6mm Torx bolts along with a lock washer, a flat washer, and a nut. These are all supplied in the kit. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by assembling the 2 front corner supports along with a cross member. We're going to be putting 4 bolts into each side, and then we're not going to tighten it up. We're just going to put it finger tight to hold it all together for right now. So now we're going to take one of our front corner support braces along with a cross member, slide them together like so, insert a bolt with the washers attached, and then put a nut on the bottom. We'll do the same thing for the other slot. Now we can do one on the side. And then one on the other side. Now you can repeat that process for the opposite corner. Now we're going to take one of our side rails and attach it to the front assembly that we've already put together. Again, using the same bolts and nuts and washers that we did for the front. So we're putting 2 in the top and 1 on each side. Now we can attach our side rail to our rear support brace. And again, using the same bolts and washers from our previous steps. And now you can repeat this whole process for the other side. Now we can attach our rear cross member in the same fashion that we installed our front one. So we'll just put that over the end of the support brace. Put a nut on our bolt. Put our two bolts on the side. And now you can repeat that process for the other end. Now we're ready to install our center cross member. To do that, we need to attach these mounting brackets to the cross member, and then we'll attach the mounting brackets to the side rail. You may find this easier to do upside down. So we're going to slide our mounting bracket into our cross member with the open slash facing up, and then we'll just flip it upside down like so. Because the clearances are so tight in here, what we'll do is we'll put our nut inside first, and then we'll put our bolt from the bottom end. Now put our side ones in. And now you can repeat that process for the other end. All right, now we're ready to put in our center cross member. Now this one can be a little tricky because of the design of the mounting bracket and the design of the side rail. But what you can do is set this up into place like so. And it's a little difficult to actually show you how everything goes together here. But you see the slots on the side, and there's two holes in the end of the mounting bracket. So what we're going to do is just set this up into place and then kind of do this blind. So we're going to feed the bolt in from underneath. We'll feed it in from underneath, and then put our nut in on the inside of the bracket here. And go ahead and attach our nut and our bolt together. And we'll place our other bolt in as well. And now you can repeat that process for the other side. Now it's time to install our side plates. And you'll see we've got two holes at the top on each side, and they match the two short slots on our side rails here. So we're going to go ahead and attach that using the same nuts and bolts and washers that we have so far. So the plate itself goes on the inside of the side rails. We'll put our bolt and washers from the outside, and our nut goes on the inside. Again, we're doing 2 on each side. Now we can go ahead and install our center support bracket. And again, this is going to go on the inside of our side plate. And now you can repeat that whole process for the other side. All right, now that we've got our bed rack all put together and we're just about ready to put it onto the truck, now it's time to discuss how you're going to mount it. Now, our truck happens to have the bed rails pre-installed. So we will be using these rectangular blocks to slide into the rails, and then we'll put a bolt through the mounting bracket into these blocks. If you don't have the rails installed, then you can use these other blocks. The way they work is you would put it inside the bed lip. This little slot right here would go over the lip, and then the bolt would go through the mounting bracket into this block, and you can hold it in that way. The other option that you have are these threaded nut plates. And the way they would work is what you would have to do is put the bed rack onto the bed, mark the 2 slots that go sideways on it, drill a 5/16 hole, and then you can put these behind it and put the bolt through the mounting bracket. But like I said, since we've got the rails on ours, we'll be using these blocks here and slide them into the rails, and then we'll mount the rack to these blocks. All right. Now to install these blocks, what you're going to do, if you got your rails here, there's a plug on the end of the rails. What you're going to do is push in on the raised lines here. You push it in and then just slide it straight out. Now with our plastic retaining plug out of the way, we can take our blocks and slide them into the rails. All right, now you will need 6 of those blocks per side. So we've got our 6 in. Once you've got those in, we can go ahead and replace our retaining plug, and then we can go ahead and mount our rack, and we'll adjust where the blocks get located once we've got the rack sitting on the bed. And now you can repeat that process for the other side. All right, now that we've got our mounting blocks in, it's time to put the bed rack onto the bed itself. So at this point, you are going to need an extra set of hands. I've got my buddy here to help me lift this up, and we'll set it on the bed rails. All right, now that we've got our rack on the bed, now it's time to go ahead and adjust it. Make sure that it's even on both sides, where you want it to be, and where it's going to work for the mounting blocks. We've already got ours adjusted. I like mine to be closer to the front. So we've got ours pretty much as close to the front of the bed as we can and still be able to use the mounting blocks to secure it. So with that being said, next thing you want to do is you can use something like this, a small pick or a small screwdriver, to go ahead and align your blocks to the slots on the mounting brackets so that everything's ready to go. And then once you do that, then we'll use the supplied hex head bolts that come with the kit, along with some lock washers and flat washers, and then a 13mm socket to tighten it all down. All right, so using our pick, what we're gonna do is go ahead and just insert it into one of the slots, grab a hold of the block and slide it back into place so that it lines up so that we can put our bolts in and tighten it down. Now we can secure our rack using our hex head bolts and secure our rack to the mounting blocks. Now we'll tighten them with our 13mm socket. And now you can repeat that process for the other 5 brackets. Now that we've got our rack tightened down to our bed, it's time to go ahead and do a final adjustment to make sure everything's lined up the way you want it. And the kit does come with a T40 Torx wrench, which you'll need to tighten up all of the bolts. And you'll also need a 13mm wrench in order to hold the nut on the other side. Now, given the fact that there are so many bolts on here to tighten, you might find it easier to use a ratchet with a T40 Torx bit, or even better, a power ratchet with a T40 Torx bit. Now let's go ahead and start tightening these things down. And now you can go ahead and follow that process for the other 46 bolts that we have to tighten down. And that wraps up our review and install of the Barricade HD Overland Rack for your 07 and newer Tundra with the 5.5 and 6.5 foot bed. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Tundra, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.